Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I am Tanika, and today we are going to be finishing up the remaining episodes for The Other Way. In this episode, so we're doing episodes 2 and 3. But before we do, let's do some hot goss. So, this is pertaining to Gary Turner, the good old Golden Bachelor. So I don't notice because I don't really follow a lot of people, but Gary apparently kind of stopped posting on social media since the news of his divorce settlement back in June. He's apparently finally returned and is revealing why he's been extremely quiet on Instagram. Gary wrote that he had taken a vacation to Orange Beach, Alabama for 2 weeks. It's been a couple of weeks since he'd returned home, but Gary had only just found the time to end his social media break. He was vacationing with his closest and most trusted friends. Gary shared several photos with his large group of friends as they participated in several activities in the water sports hub on Alabama's Gulf Coast. So basically, that's basically that. So if you're interested in seeing what Gary's up to these days, you can go to his Instagram and figure that out. So let's move on to the next piece. So this is with respect to Kelsey and Joey recently doing engagement photos. So I don't think they have been officially released yet, but I can kind of talk about what that's kind of looked like. So the couple just took some gorgeous engagement photos, and the photographer shared a behind the scenes look at the shoot on Instagram. Winning content creator captured by Chloe wrote, quote, "Joey and Kelsey's love is one for the storybooks. More to come soon from their dreamy engagement session." So in the photos and videos, Joey and Kelsey are seen wearing white, packing on the PDA and frolicking around while smiling. A little more details on that. So Kelsey is featured looking absolutely gorgeous in a white ruffled tiered dress, while Joey matches in a white shirt and khaki trousers. At one point, he playfully chases and twirls her, and later they recline by a river. The footage itself is beautiful, and Joey and Kelsey look fantastic, even if it's a little corny, which it definitely is. But that's basically it. Not kind of, low grade hot goss that I have for you in this episode, but that's what I got. So, without further ado, let's head into the reason that we are here. Season 6, episode 2, What Women Don't Want is the title of this episode. So we start off with Sarper and Shekinah. So we're getting ready to head to the airport. Adonis just kind of sets himself in the driver's seat because her friend or someone, I'm not sure who this person was going to be taking them to the airport. And Shekinah kind of says to her friend that, he still has his bottle collection, and she's not happy about that, obviously. And she's like, I'm going to have to put my foot down with him. She says if he doesn't go and take the bottles away, she's going to pull out my book. What book? Well, this book is a book of a love letter from an ex of hers when she was 16 years old. He apparently wrote, I kid you not, 143-page love letter. That's a fucking essay, my guy. Not even an essay. I don't think I've ever written an essay that long. That's a book. It's a book. It's a fucking book. What? She's like, I will give him a dose of his own medicine, which we'll see how that turns out. And did anyone else notice that she was traveling in like a short dress? Is this how one travels? Like, I don't understand. Like, what are you proving? Just on the other side, if you want to look all cute and pretty and shit, on the other side is Darcy it. I mean, maybe she didn't want to do that because of Adonis, but this is ridiculous. Anyway, she gets there. No, sorry. No, not there yet. Shekinah is coming. Sarper tells us she only is going to be about 2 hours and 54 minutes away. Yep. He is so excited. He says he's been living a priest life. He has never had a dog either, so it's going to be a new experience for him. He's a cat guy. He says, most bad boys have cats because less responsibility. So great to know. He's like, that just proves how much I've changed for her. That's you doing the least, sir. That's you literally doing the least, but okay. He says that he misses her so much. Not just sexually, y'all. He does emotionally miss her as well. But then he sees her, he's at the airport already. He sees her, and y'all, the tears instantly flow. Instantly flow. He's crying like a baby. He's like, never leave me again. And he's like, forget this moment because I'm weak. I am weak. You saw my weakness. And it's like, sir, men do cry too. It's fine. But, yeah, he said, I usually show my passion in other ways. Great. Also, didn't need to know. Didn't need to know. But then he says hello to Adonis, and this, I don't know who may not be watching the show. How could you not be? But if you're not watching the show and you haven't seen Adonis, the dog is not small. The dog is pretty big. And this guy lifts him up like nothing. It's pretty impressive, actually. But yeah, he lifts Adonis up and he's like, saying hi to him and whatever. And he's like, Adonis, I don't cry normally, so don't get twisted or anything. I don't think the dog cares. But so they say we have to deal with our issues, but let's deal with them calmly. Let's not get mad at each other and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But he says that he's gonna hug her, he's gonna kiss her, he's gonna fuck her, he's gonna be great. He's gonna be so happy. But then when they get to the house, because they're at the house now, and they get to the house and she sees the bottles, obviously. And she's obviously not happy. And she kind of hoped that he would surprise her with the bottles being gone. And I want to say, Shekinah, do you know your man? How does that make any sense? Of course he's not going to get rid of them. But anyways, that's basically it for Shekinah and Sarper. Let's now talk Statler and Dempsey. So the caravan is being sold today. Dempsey sold her car, her TV, everything she owned it's basically gone. All she has is her clothes. So we're gonna say bye to the caravan. But 48 hours earlier, we get we see Statler. She's in a bathtub. And she's like, this is probably gonna be the last bath I'm gonna take for a while. And it's funny. She's like, Charles, yes, please get me something. I don't know. It's funny. Anyways, she's like, I think I'm funny, but no, I don't think so. But she said I should be packing, but she's a little bit overwhelmed, which I think we can understand. But yeah, she said she's overwhelmed. And she tells us that, she's been, she says recently, but I'm not sure. ADHD, we know it's not necessarily recent, but she says she was recently diagnosed with autism. She also has ADHD, as we know. And, she was diagnosed at 30, I believe, with autism. And she says that she usually likes to end her baths off with peeing. And the producer was like, really? She's like, yeah, it's freeing. It's one way to put it. And then we see her calling Dempsey, and Dempsey has a sty apparently because of all of the stress. She says, yeah, my right eye's been twitching, Statler says. And Dempsey's like, well, the sty in my left eye. And she's like, that's so crazy. I think it's process of elimination. We only have two eyes. It's not that big of a deal. Anyways, So she's like, I felt brave with the idea of living in a camper van, but now I'm kind of freaking out, Statler says, which again, I totally understand it. I don't think I would ever agree to be living in a camper van with anybody, much less by myself even. Like, that wouldn't happen. But Statler doesn't want to end up broke and homeless in Europe. So that's kind of, I think, understandable because she might. But anyways, at Dempsey, we see her foraging for like food, and she says, you gotta be really careful because she's like getting like mushrooms, and she's like, some mushrooms are obviously poisonous, which we know. And she said most of them are quite edible. She said these mushrooms are not the fun ones though. They're not the magic ones. So we see her going to see a friend of hers who apparently also owns a camper van herself. We go and take a look at the camper van, y'all. It is small. It is fucking small. Yeah. But they do go back to the house because they're going to basically look at like the route that both her and Statler are going to be taking. And this is basically what they're going to be doing. They're going to be going to, I believe, Dover. I believe I said that right. Anyways, then somewhere else, I think in England, I'm not sure. I didn't catch all of them. France. They're also going to go to France. And then they're also going to go to Switzerland. So they're doing it. Dempsey tells Lindsay is a friend, and we did meet her before last season, I believe. She said it has been an equal effort with when it comes to, the money and everything. But a lot's kind of been on her with everything else. And she's like, wouldn't that kind of be like a red flag? What if you get halfway through and then this potentially could end, And she decides that she doesn't want to do it anymore, even that too. So you kind of just have to figure that out, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of just, we're back with them again. Not much else really to talk about with them, but that is it for Statler and Dempsey. So now let's talk about James and Tatha. So Jojo, because we kind of still left off with her leaving, and Jojo is like, don't leave me, don't leave me. But anyways, we're headed to the airport, and she kind of, feels away about the fact that she couldn't say goodbye to his family, which I totally get. And he also hasn't bought a ticket yet, so she really doesn't know when he's going to be coming. But he says in probably like a month or so we'll see. But Tatha drops this kind of bomb about the fact that their plan is that he is going to work for her family with the banana chips and everything. And he figures like this is the way that he'll be able to support her. Turns out though, she says that, oh, my family's not going to pay you. You know that, right? And he's like, we don't pay family. And he says, then why did we agree to do this then if I can't? And he's like, I don't understand. Like, how else do I make money? And she says, well, we would buy the chips basically off of her family and then sell it elsewhere. But again, it's going to be like a market for that, right? And he's like, so why didn't you say this before? She's like, just like you didn't tell me about JoJo. Okay, tit for tat then. She's like, I have to translate it into other languages. So like, it's a lot for me. I love this. It's so funny. And so, which I mean, it's obviously also understandable. That definitely makes sense. So he says like, is doing the chips profitable? Like, is this actually going to render a profit? And she's like, yes, but you just gotta do good. Otherwise you're not going to make any money. So he's unsure now about this whole thing. And she's like, so you're not going to come then? Like, I didn't say that. She's like, whatever, I got to go. And he's like, what do we say? What do I say? We speak in love. Because we love each other. So we're going to speak in love. She's like, love, 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 love. Is that what you want to hear? I love her feistiness. It's great. And he's like, do you want to leave angry? And she's like, no. Anyway, they get to the airport. He's like, okay, your flight's going to be here soon. So, we're going to have to end this here. But he's crying. She's crying. We're all crying at the fact of like they're going to be apart for some time. And when she leaves, he says, well, I thought this was sweet. He says, without her, I don't know who I am. That's sweet. Anyway, let's move on to the next scene. So he's going to be leaving in about a week. So some time has passed and he's been working a lot and saving. So that's great. Jojo's here to help him pack up. And guess what, y'all? He still hasn't told his family that he's going to be leaving. My guy, you're leaving in a week. Why haven't you told them yet? Why haven't you told them? This is ridiculous. We do find out that maybe his hesitation comes from somewhere. So this is actually his second time basically leaving his family high and dry with the business. We find out here that he's actually been married before. They did initially live in Maine for about 6 months, but she too also hated the cold weather because she actually lived in Florida. So she was going to be moving to Florida with or without him. So he ended up moving with her, which meant that his family had to basically downgrade their business in order to manage the load. Wow. He said there just wasn't enough manpower to do the work. This is basically what's going to happen again. And they're going to be furious. And you know what? I would be too. I actually would be pretty furious as well. So they were actually married for about a year or two, I believe. I didn't quite catch how long they were together. But obviously they're in a divorce. So yeah. His brother comes by, and I don't know who that woman was. If it was like a sister or the brother's wife. I'm not sure. But he asked, so when is Tatha coming back? So yeah, about that. Never. She's never coming back. She's there to stay. We're never coming back. And he's like, okay, so what? He's like, actually, I'm going to be going to Indonesia to be with her. And he's like, oh, so then when are you coming back? And he's like, I'm not. We're moving permanently. And he says, oh, by the way, Mom and Dad don't know yet, so don't tell them yet. I'm going to tell them. What the fuck? His brother also does this work as well. So yeah, I think either his wife or whoever she is, she's like, so that means more work is going to be on you then, I guess. And he's like, yeah. So they're a little frustrated, obviously. And he's like, I'm telling Mom and Dad tomorrow. So you're quitting? No, he's going to work on the elevators from Indonesia. Yes, he's quitting. And he says yes. And he's like, well, that sucks. He's like, you're basically leaving us high and dry again. And he said, James says, when I proposed to Tatha before, he made 3 promises to her father. 1, learn the language. He's not doing so good on that. Number 2, provide always. And that's what he's been doing and he wants to ensure he'll keep on doing. Number 3, have kids. Well, we also then learn the truth here when it comes to this. He is not too sure about having kids right now with the state that the world is currently in. So he says when he made the promises, it was 5 years ago, nothing crazy happened yet. COVID does then happen. And he says with COVID, there was just so much hate with obviously with people and the Asian community. Any Asian person I guess hateful people would see, they would instantly blame them for COVID and everything. A lot of horrible things happened with the Asian community. Yeah. So I guess because he says, he doesn't necessarily want to bring half Asian children into the world who are also potentially going to endure the same hatred that is going on, currently, and I guess it just kind of scared him into having kids. So on the one hand, I totally understand what he's saying here, because I mean, that is something you think about. Again, as a person of, I'm a minority as well, I do think about the fact of, I am going to bring Black children into the world who are also going to deal with their own, things that could happen. And not only that, but, you also deal with the fact of potentially, African children as well. They have their own thing. Like, you think about that. So I totally understand him. And that the issue I have with him, though, is you made a promise. She wants to have kids. When a woman hears a man doesn't want to have kids, even though they were told they want to have kids, that's a deal breaker. And yeah. So she wants to have kids. You're going to have to have that conversation with her. And you're going to have to tell her where you're coming from, because that can be dealt with and taken care of. At least you guys can be on the same page with that. But when she wants to have kids, there has to be a little bit of give and take here. But he says, like, he doesn't know if he'll ever want to ever have kids. That's going to be a problem for her, because she wants to have kids. But basically, I think that's it. Yeah, for episode 2. I think we only had those 3 for episode 3. So yeah, that is it for this episode. We're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we will jump in with the 3rd episode. Hi everyone, I have a new song for you to listen to. This song is by Jenna Carter, and the song is called Hindsight. I did get this single from the PodSafe music directory on the World Podcast Network. So I'm going to be playing that song for you now. If you also like the song, you can go down to the show notes where you can find links to the song, including the link to the song on the PodSafe music directory, which is again on the World Podcast Network. So I'm going to be playing that song for you now.
We took off like a bullet train. 4 months and you moved into my place. I wish I'd taken time to evaluate. You know what they say. Why is the first step always the hardest to take? Starting a goodbye or spilling out your guts up on stage. Letting someone new in, or learning how to feel strong in your skin. I won't say that loving you was wrong. If I hadn't, I might not have this song. May not have learned how to listen to myself. But loving you's no good for my health. No, loving you's no good for my health. Too large a gap in how we were raised. Really did my best to communicate. No matter what I said, you never felt safe. Gave you my all, you know what they say. The second step, it counts the most. Like learning how to unlearn your love. Look in the mirror, value what you say. Choosing to love me selfishly. I won't say that loving you was wrong. If I had it, I might not have If I hadn't, I might not have their song. May not have learned how to listen to myself. But loving you's no good for my health. No, loving you's no good for my health.
And I am back. So let's jump into episode 3, which is Can Buy Me Love? Question mark. I don't know. Anyways, we'll start off with Corona and Ingi. So that Philistine sandwich looked real good. But anyways, she is dropping the kitties off with her, I think with Leo and their wife. The cats are beefing currently. The kitties are also very pissed. I think they know she's leaving. And Leo and their wife will, because I believe keeping the cats, and they also drive her to the airport. I think she has the intent to get the cats once she is able to. So yeah, she says that she'll be meeting his parents for the first time. She would be the first woman to meet his parents. And not only that, she is the first Black woman that they probably would ever be encountering. So she says she was not looking for love. But then here comes Inky bulldozing through her life. Love is freaking scary. Agreed. They don't tell you this in the romance novels. No, they don't. Because they're not supposed to. But anyways, that's basically it. She's on her way to Iceland, and we're gonna meet Inky now. So we are in Iceland. Baby. I'm excited to be in Iceland. We've never been in Iceland before. It's gonna be fun. So he says dating in Iceland is a little bit like Russian roulette because you never really know what you're gonna get. You might just end up dating somebody who's you're related to. Oh my. There is a website actually that you can check to see if you're related to this person. The question is whether or not you check the website before or after you potentially hook up with somebody. So you could potentially be having sex with like a first cousin or something. Anyway, he kind of talks to us about Corona and how they met. He said he didn't really know she was hitting on him. She ended up taking a nap, so like he didn't know. And we see like her do like a video for him, and she was like doing like a striptease number while holding the cat. Why? Or one of the cats. Why? But anyways, we see him basically role playing. He likes to play role playing games with his friends. Looks like D&D type situation. And he says he's been playing since he was 16. He's kind of talking to his friends about Corona coming, and you know, he does kind of, they kind of say to him, like teasing him a little bit about everything. Oh, you're going to have like 10 kids and a house and a car and all of this. And he does say, like, due to the fact that they haven't really been together for very long, there's definitely not a ring going to be happening yet. So we'll see. But yeah, that's basically it for Corona Ingi. Again, there wasn't a whole lot because again, she's headed to Iceland, so there's not a whole lot here, but that's it for them. Let's talk about Statler and Dempsey. So she has road rage, just like me. I also have road rage. I am her. I am that person that's like, move your fucking car. What are your fucking car doing here? Don't you know how to drive? No? You clearly don't know how to drive. Yeah, that's me. She's like, driving is stressful. Yes, it can definitely be stressful, but she is going to be moving in less than a week. She's going to sell her car so she can get the money from the car to basically live off of. Her car has a name. She named the car Aspen, and she has a very close relationship with Aspen. She doesn't want to abandon her. She's known Aspen longer than Dempsey. Like, she doesn't want to like lose Aspen. So we meet Muhammad, who is going to be basically, I guess, she's gonna sell her car too. And he says, we have a beautiful car. Are you trading it for another car or are you selling it? Is that right? She said, no, I'm selling it. I'm leaving the country. So, he'd say, okay, well, I'm going to go appraise the car. I'll be back. So while he's there appraising the car, she's having a moment with the car with Aspen, sorry, on her own. And she's like, parting is something she has, is tough. She's known Aspen longer than Dempsey, She says, well, this is awkward. It's not you, it's me. It's just, I'm going in a different direction. You kept me safe, and I really appreciate that. She's literally saying goodbye to the car out loud. She's amazing. So Muhammad comes back out and he's like, so I'm going to offer you $18,500 for the car. Wow. Take the money and run. What do you mean? I was not expecting that. She also wasn't expecting that. And she tells Muhammad, this is scary. This is really scary. I'm not sure if selling the car is the right move. Maybe I need to have a bit of a backup plan, And he's like, honestly, I would go for the backup plan. You never know. Meanwhile, your car is going to keep depreciating in the meantime. So we don't know what your car is going to be worth in even a year, But anyway, she chooses to not sell her car. Better to be safe than sorry. She says she feels bad because Dempsey is giving up everything, but she is used to doing that. She is used to living a more nomadic lifestyle. She isn't. She says that, she'd rather, keep herself safe, maybe hold on to something that's hers. She's staying true to herself, she says, so shouldn't I do the same? So yeah, she's giving the car and she says, I'm so sorry that I put you through that. I'm not selling you. It's good. She's talking to Aspen. Yeah, okay. So we see Statler packing. She's going to be leaving tomorrow. While doing this, Dempsey actually texts her that, guess what? We cannot afford the van. And she said, I think Dempsey was kind of waiting for me to sell my car so she could have some of the money from that. She's like, I never told her that I was actually going to sell the car. And I didn't sell the car. So she video calls Dempsey and she says, so you can't sell the car? Like instantly. She doesn't even say, hi, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. You look nice today. So you can't sell the car? And she's like, well, I didn't know you were relying on the car. And she's like, that's not true. Your car was supposed to pay for the part of the van. And she's like, the numbers didn't quite compute in my brain because, Statler, yeah, I totally understand that her is not computing. And Dempsey's like, I don't understand. Well, she's neurodivergent. It's not really that difficult to understand that maybe certain things might not compute properly in the same way that maybe it does for her. But anyways, she said, I thought I was only coming with the loan because I remember she had a loan. And she's like, no, we didn't. She's being very like, no. And she says that what they didn't quite understand here is when she gave her the $20,000 loan, when she transferred that, 5,000 of that kind of went poof for maybe fees or just didn't quite transfer in the same way they expected it to. So they are currently 6,000 pounds short. So she's like, well, now I guess we're going to need the money. So Statler's going to have to figure out how to get that money because Dempsey doesn't have a job. So it has to basically be on Dempsey to figure out how to get an extra couple $1,000s. Good luck to you. This seems like too much, honestly. But anyways, that's it for Statler and Dempsey. Let's move on to James and Lily. So he is leaving for China today, and you forget that he won't be able to even access social media in China because there are certain blocks on certain platforms. So yeah, even certain television shows he may not be able to watch. But we get to the airport and we have a very heartfelt goodbye with his parents. And we find out here, I'm not sure if we knew this before, but this is his third marriage, so third time's the charm, I guess. But anyways, one of his connecting flights we see later was actually canceled, so his journey has taken some time. And this was canceled due to weather, but he's finally on his last plane ride. He finally lands in China. He says that he will be taking a cab to the house by himself, which is about a 3-hour drive. He says that she was actually going to pick him up because I was wondering, like, she couldn't even be there to pick you up. He actually says to her that I want to do it myself to prove that he can do this on his own. And he says this actually wasn't too bad because there's the signage is not only in either Mandarin or I'm assuming Mandarin or Cantonese, one of the two. Not only the signage in one of the two languages, but it's also in English. So it works out really well for him to be able to navigate the airport by himself. So we quickly are with Lily, and she's telling us that the renovation has been quite expensive. It cost 4 million yuan, which is about $562,000 US. That's a lot. That's a lot. Which again, like, because obviously I'm Canadian, I know that is a lot of money. Like, I can't even, almost $1 million here in Canada. Close to $1 million. But anyway, so she said that it costs as much due to the rushing of getting this done, as well as the materials. So she has maxed out her credit cards for this. And she's actually says she's scared to tell him anything about the finances because he tends to get his back up when I guess they talk about finances, which isn't great on his part. You know what you're getting yourself into. So you can't like be upset because, you know, you're not providing in the way that you want to. You knew what you're doing. So, and she knew what that she was getting herself into. So you can't be like that. But again, just the toxic masculinity is, you know, you can't take that out of every man. So whatever. We're with him again, and he says that, you know, not being able to work is going to be very stressful for him. He said he's been working since he was 15 years old. He's always kind of, you know, been hardworking. So this is kind of a new thing for him. But he talks to the cab driver, asks like, are you married? And he's like, yeah, I'm married. You know, he's like 65. I think he says he's 65 and he's retired now. So yeah. And he says, is it normal for men to not work in China, basically not provide? And the cab driver, when he first hears this, laughs. He's like, no, you dummy. It's not normal. It's not normal in any country. So why would you think it's normal in China or it's acceptable in China or whatever? He's like, no, but you gotta work. Yeah, he says, yeah, you gotta work. So then James asks, what advice would you have for a foreign man living in China? And the cab driver says to him, find a job. Don't rely on your wife. It's hilarious. This guy is funny. But yeah, that's basically it for James and Lily. Again, not a whole lot with this episode, but let's finish it up with Sarper and Shekinah. We started off as Sarper and Shekinah. We're going to end it off with Sarper and Shekinah. So we're left off again with the bottle situation. And she's like, basically, we could have gotten with in the last 3 months. The house is a mess. Like, it's like he didn't make a bed. He didn't put things in a hamper. He put things in his place. It's a mess. And she goes into another room. She's like, you were supposed to clear this room out for her clothes. She's like, where is the rack for my clothes? And she's like, well, I guess I shouldn't unpack because there's nowhere for me to put my clothes. And he's like, is this because of the bottles? Is this why you're being, he wants to say bitchy. But she's like, nothing has changed, and she's like, I better not see that book. He's like, well, do you want me to show you the book? Do you want me to show the book? After she literally said she doesn't want to see the book, he's like, do you want to see the book? She's like, no, I don't want to see the fucking book. Like, don't bring that book near me. This guy. And she's like, no. He's like, he literally asked, why not? Why would she want to see the book of you tallying up the women you've had sex with? Why would anyone want to see that? I didn't want to see that, and I'm not fucking you. You know what I mean? He's like, it's not a big deal or anything, so then get rid of it. If it's not a big deal, get rid of the book, but either just make peace with it. She's like, yeah, I should make peace with it. Well, then you maybe need to make peace with this. A 143-page letter that my ex wrote for me back when I was, well, she actually didn't say she was 16 years old, but anyways. And he's like, you kept it? No different than you keeping your book of tallied sexual partners, my guy. She's doing the same thing you did. And she's like, yeah. And he's like, and you brought it here? Yeah, she did. And she's like, it's just a book. What's the big deal? Make peace with it, right? You know what? As much as I think this is so stupid because they're grown as adults, I love the pettiness in this moment. So he does eventually look at the letter once she's walked out of the room. He leaves the room. He's like, we'd have to ruin everything. He leaves the room. She leaves the room. He goes back into the room, looks at the letter, and he barely gets through it before, well, he would never read all 143 pages of the book anyway. Throws it onto the floor and it's like scattered. And he's like, you know how to fuck things up. Jesus. Anyways, that's it for this episode. Yeah, hopefully we'll kind of stay on time now with the episode. Next thing I'm probably going to get to are the Bachelorette episodes. We're going to be doing those in separate episodes just because they are 2 hours long. So we're going to be doing those in separate episodes. I'm hoping that I can get those to you prior to the next episode, but I'm recording this on a Sunday and I still have to get the notes done for Bachelorette, so they're probably not going to be prior to that episode, the next episode coming, but they're coming. Don't worry. And then we will eventually get to UK as well. Kind of been doing that with UK's, doubling them up anyways, so we'll be doing that. So that's what you can expect. We'll hopefully be on time with the episodes at that point. But that is it for this episode. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps. Every one of them, including, you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there, and you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube, and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.